Hey there folks, my name is Peter and you are not going to believe how much I paid for all of these Snap-on tools. Welcome back folks to the channel. This is going to be an atypical unboxing because it's the first time I've bought a bunch of Snap-on stuff outside of the truck. Now my title wasn't completely clickbait. My Snap-on dealer and his wife welcomed another child into the world, so congratulations to them. But that means he's taking some time off from the route. Now I don't know about you, but if I go more than, I don't know, a week or two without at least buying one Snap-on tool, I don't feel too good about myself. So I was perusing Facebook Marketplace as I often do. And frankly, typically on Facebook Marketplace, I don't find a lot of good deals. I find that from a seller's perspective, everybody wants to lowball you, and from a buyer's perspective, everybody thinks their stuff is worth $1 million. Nonetheless, I found this Snap-on listing from a guy, also a DIYer with a Snap-on addiction, looking to downsize. So he had this beautiful 54-inch toolbox with a hutch. By the time I got to him, that had already been sold, but I guess he really turned it in and he's trading it in for a couple of roll carts. But nonetheless, he had a whole bunch of tools that weren't going to fit in the new roll carts that he bought. And he's looking to move on. Now he had some stuff that I wasn't that interested in, and in fact, some of it is right on this table, because let me tell you what happened. I asked him how much for the files, for the ratcheting screwdriver, for this ratchet, and for this ratchet, and he gave me a price. I said, that is a screaming deal. I'll be right over. Now it just so happens that this guy lives very close to where I normally meet the Snap-on dealer. And I'm over there pretty much every Friday afternoon. So instead of going to the Snap-on truck, I went to this guy's house. He walked me into his garage and honestly, he couldn't have been any nicer and his shop was beautiful. Very cleanly, beautifully insulated, a lot of tools, working on a project, and all he wanted to do was talk about Snap-on tools. So let's talk about the stuff that I was immediately interested in, then we'll get into the stuff that came a little bit later, and then we'll talk about the incredible deal that I was able to make. So first things first, let's talk about the ratcheting screwdriver. I have mentioned this Snap-on tool, and also, do you hear that squeaking in this chair? A lot of you have recommended that I get a new shop stool, and if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, I think you'll be pretty surprised in the next couple days because this thing is going in the garbage. Anyway, this Snap-on ratcheting screwdriver is my favorite. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you know that I have nearly the full kit already. So I've got the regular length handle, the stubby, and I've got, I think, all of the shanks that they make. I don't have the bit set. So I know somebody's gonna leave a comment talking about how, why would you spend $500 on a screwdriver? The bit set has a lot to do with the price when you look at it on the website. Without the bit set, it's quite a bit cheaper. But nonetheless, given how often I use these, I was more than happy to have a backup and something I could throw in a tool bag. So he had this handle, which retails for $77. This is the 5-inch shank, which retails for about $26 on their website. The bit that it came with is not a Snap-on bit, so nothing to report there. And then he also had the 1/4-inch shank, which is another thing that I've used quite a bit. If you're lacking an extension or you just want a better way to get to something, throwing this on your ratcheting handle works pretty well. Now, of course, these are used tools, so some of them show more signs of wear than others, but the ratcheting mechanism on this sounds pretty good. We could flip it in both directions. Definitely not new out of the box, but a lot to like. Now there's no bits in the end, so we officially got 0 Snap-on bits out of this, but that's okay. The handle is in incredible shape, and I think that this is one of those things that, as I continue to build a relationship with my dealer, if this were to break, I would feel comfortable bringing this on the truck and say, hey, can you help me out here? So these are the first 3 things we picked up. And remember, retail, $77, $26, and $25. So we're already about $125 in terms of retail pricing. I'm gonna tell you what I paid for all of this at the end of the video. Next, we've got the swivel head 1/4-inch ratchet. Now, of course, it's in orange, which of all the Snap-on colors is probably the one that I like the least. But again, when he told me the price, I was like, you know what? I don't care what color this thing is. It's coming home with me. Now, I actually want the swivel head, but with the 1/4-inch, so you could throw your drill bits in it and stuff, but still haven't got around to that. So this is the circular locking mechanism here on the back. Of course, it swivels in, I guess, 360 degrees worth of rotation, which is pretty sweet. I didn't necessarily need this. I'm pretty well set on 1/4-inch ratchets, but if I can add something to my collection that I don't already have, and I can do so at a price that I deem reasonable, I'm always happy to do it. And again, for those of you who have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I have this triple bank 1/4-inch Snap-on set. So anytime I can pick up another implement with which to make use of my 1/4-inch sockets with, I'm gonna do it. So this was pickup number 2, and on Snap-on's website, this retails for $157. Now the last thing that I had planned to purchase was this file set. So these are the green Instinct handle files in beautiful shape. He said he never really used these, and guess what? That's true. The thing with files, you know, buying them used, it's sort of a crapshoot, because if people really use them, you're not going to get that much life out of them before it's time to replace them. Now, my assumption is that because Snap-on sells this handle independently, you could swap out the file if you wanted to, and I think that the handles themselves retail for about $26. But this whole kit, so you get 4 files, right? You get the triple square, the rounded, and the 2 mil files in this I guess nylon pouch, is $233.50 on Snap-on's website. Now, when I went on the website, I couldn't even find this in the green handle. The only thing I saw was red or orange, and the fact that he had it in green and was barely used is pretty awesome. You may remember that on a previous video, I picked up this mini file set. Now, these ones are not quite the Instinct gripped handles, but you do get a bit more variety in terms of total files that are available to you. And I always said that, you know, I wanted these originally because I felt like for what I'm interested in doing, that's probably a bit more my speed, but I was always interested in picking up something like this as well. These are still made in Portugal, as is the mini ones, and like I said, retails for $233.50 on the website. Now at this point, he had a bunch of other stuff on the table that he was looking to move. And you know, he and I are going back and forth, talking about cars, we're talking about tools, we're talking about other stuff. And he said, you know, is there anything else that you want? And I said, you know, not for nothing, I would. There's actually a few more things that I would take home, but he didn't accept Venmo, and I only had so much cash on me. So I said, you know, well, he said, well, what do you want? I said, I don't know. I mean, this orange screwdriver looks pretty cool. I don't have anything this big in a flathead, and I love the hard handle. You know, pretty much everything that I have is the Instinct Grip soft handle. But man, these hard handles feel so nice in your hand. And I just think, of course, they come clean a lot better, even though Snap-on has certainly made strides in this area. And he said, you know what? Take it. So I did. He threw this in effectively for free, which is going to be a pretty common theme here moving forward. Now, I don't know that Snap-on still makes this exact version. This is the SDD8, and on their website they have like an SDD8A0 or something like that. Nonetheless, this is about a $40 screwdriver. This one's in really good shape. There's a little bit of rusting at the top here, but the vapor blasted tip is more or less still in pretty good shape. From the business end perspective, everything looks as it should. I don't think he ever misused this as a pry bar on the back of the handle. It doesn't look like anybody was ever beating on it, so that's pretty cool. Now, the closest thing that I have to this today is my 5/16, again, Instinct gripped handle. And this was actually something that I purchased in the very first Snap-on unboxing video that I ever did. After I got off the truck, I bought the whole screwdriver set. This thing obviously, you know, I don't know, it's so tough. This actually does feel better in the hand. It's just a bit more ergonomic. But there's something about how substantial the hard handle feels that, I don't know, it's just pretty cool. So I've seen videos in which people have like a set of the hard handles and a set of the soft grips. I don't know that I'll ever necessarily do that, but overall, I was thrilled that he was willing to throw this in for free. Now at this point, I just felt like, you know what, you gotta shoot your shot. And I said, well, what about this speeder? And he said, do you want it? And I said, yeah, sure. And he said, okay, it's yours. So this is a speeder 1/4 inch flex head ratchet. Now these things are super expensive. This thing retails for $182 on the Snap-on website. Truthfully speaking, right, of all the tools that I have, this is probably gonna get used the least because it's really more of a specialty item. But that being said, I could see a case in which you would want something like this, right? You know, you flip up that flex head there, you kind of give it one of these, and who knows? So it's something I'm really happy to have in my collection. Again, going back to this idea that if you're gonna have all those 1/4 inch sockets, you may as well have as many implements as possible to make use of them. And this just adds to the allure of that. Now at this point, I think, and again, I didn't really break him down. I just said, hey, if you take Venmo, I'm happy to pay you for this stuff. And he said, nope, I only take cash, but it's yours. So at this point, he only had a couple things left on the bench, and he said, take them. Great. So this is the pair of Snap-on Lineman's pliers. Now these ones, I definitely don't think that they make anymore. I was doing some searching around. I can't find this exact model number on their website. On eBay, these things are selling from anywhere from like $70 to $150. So I don't know if this is a collector's item or what, but he said, if you want it, it's yours. So it's got your prototypical lineman tips at the top, it's got the cutter back here, and then it's got the serrations in the middle here, and truthfully, I don't know what those are for. Is that for crimping, or I don't know. So I'm hoping somebody could tell me what the use case is for this. Of course, I don't get into a lot of linemen's or electrical type work, but every now and then you got to replace an outlet or something, so it could come in handy. I have a similar set from Knipex that lives in my Vito Pro Pack, which I did a video on if you want to check it out. And of course, now I'm happy to have these in the toolbox in the garage. Finally, he had the Snap-on Hacksaw. I didn't even know that Snap-on made a hacksaw. He said, oh yeah, they sure do. And listen, my experience with hacksaws is something like this, right? Probably something that I got from my grandfather. Doesn't really feel all that substantial, but this is what a hacksaw has always been in my mind. But when you compare the two of these, right, in terms of how substantial this one feels versus this one. I also really appreciate this handle as compared to this. You can see I'm sort of falling over on this one, whereas this one sort of envelops me a little bit more. I do wish that it had the grooves the way that this one does. I don't know, that just feels a little bit better in the hand. But again, in terms of it feeling substantial, I would say it meets the bar. I also like that it's got this little part on the end here, so if you need some extra gription as you're cutting, you can grab on, whereas with my old school system, not really a lot to grab onto. So, and who knows, maybe you're not supposed to put your hand there, but I would assume that the reason they give you this little notch and this little rubber area is for exactly that. So this came with the Snap-on 12-inch blade. It looks a little bit worse for the wear, something that we may want to consider replacing, but for now, I think it'll work just fine. And the coolest thing about this saw is that the tensioner is hidden within the handle. Can you find it? So it's actually right here. This thing rotates to make it tighter or less tight if you want to change out the blade. That's super cool. Typically, what I'm used to seeing is a wing nut, something like this, which is kind of a pain, right? If you slip or anything like that, if you make contact with this, it's gonna hurt a little bit. And who knows, maybe they have come out with all these sorts of advancements and all these other hacksaws, but like I said, my whole life, I've only ever used stuff like this when I need to cut metal. So I didn't know that this much goodness was available on the open market. So that's everything we picked up. I want you to pause this video, think about how much you would have expected all of this stuff to cost, and leave it in a comment down below. Now, before I reveal what I paid, the retail price on all of these tools. So if you were to buy all of this stuff from the Snap-on website, and again, like for the Linemans, I don't know what the exact price is, I just assume $70, but maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. The retail price, $864.50.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
I paid $300.
Show me the money.
Now again, was this guy feeling super generous? He's looking to get rid of some stuff because the roll cart's coming in a day or two and he just has to move it? Sure. Did I lowball him? No. I said, hey, what's the price on this? He said $300, and guess what? Even if all I got was the file set and the screwdriver with the shanks and this ratchet, $300 is still a great deal. This kit alone is $233. So the fact that he threw in all this extra stuff was just icing on the cake, but I was happy with where I was at. So anyway, hopefully my Snap-on dealer is enjoying his R&R on his paternity leave, but as soon as he's back on the route, I'm gonna be back because I have to pick up a few more things that I ordered before he went on paternity leave, and since he's been gone, there's a few more tools that I've been thinking about picking up. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all on the very next video.